let's start with how and when did your quartet get together?
Um, okay, so we met each other in person. We all met each other in person for the first time in August. But actually, so long story short, Josh and I are in the same year at UT, and Ellie and Hudson are in the same year at UT.
And what year
Josh and
is that? Sorry, Casey. What years are those?
Josh and I are third years, and Hudson and Ellie are second years.
Okay.
And Josh and I had known each other since freshman year, and we were interested in forming a string quartet after the pandemic. And I texted Josh in like the month before school started in person for the first time in 2021. And I was like, Josh, do you know any violinists? We should do a string quartet. And he was like, I know this amazing violinist named Ellie. She's in my studio. Here's her phone number. And then we were thinking about cellists, and literally out of the blue, John did not know that I was even interested in forming a string quartet. He sent me a random email and was like, hey, I have this cellist who wants to do chamber music. Do you want to put him in your string quartet? His name is Hudson. Here's his email. And I was like, amazing. And so it kind of came together, and it was so exciting
Yeah.
being able to like especially meet Ellie and Hudson in person for the first time for me, because I didn't know them at all. And it came together so well.
All right. So you call yourselves, if I'm pronouncing it right, the Yansu String Quartet, or is that what I've got? Okay. Can someone tell me where the name come from, what it means, that kind of thing?
I can give a little background into that.
Okay. Go
So
for it.
we at first we did not quite know what we wanted to name our group. And at the time we were working on Beethoven's 11th string quartet, the Seriosa Quartet.
Mhm.
So we looked up Sirius in different languages and we really liked Yansu. So we kind of just kept with it.
Can someone in the group here, Ellie, we haven't heard a lot from you. Maybe you could say something about your impressions about John.
Well, first he's the violist in the Miro Quartet, and he's our coach. And he's a lot of fun to work with. I like that he like works with each one of us. Like he gives insights for all of us. Not just like sometimes when like we have like a violinist coach, like they will focus on the violin, or like cellist coach might focus on the cello. But even though he's a violist, he like gives all of us insights. So I really like that about him. And he also gives he's very knowledgeable, and so he offers a lot of insight for everything, and that's really nice.
Now, let's talk repertoire, okay? I gave you an assigned piece. All the quartets got an assigned piece. And this one was Jotian, which our quartet had just played in November. And we thought this might be a nice first movement. Please, someone in the group or many members of the group, can you tell me what your takeaway is currently on the Jotian string quartet?
I guess I can go. Yeah. It's a very very nice piece, I must say. When I was analyzing it, it has a lot of chordal harmony, which is very different from the tertiary harmony that we're used to, and I can. When we're reading it through, I can almost imagine like the imagery of like a Chinese landscape, and that the composer had in mind. I was born in China, and in some way I feel like in some very deep, meaningful way, the notes kind of had a lot of parallelism, of what home is kind of like, in like when it's depicting the nature, and then just the landscape and everything. So I thought that was really really cool. And then when we took it fast, it was really really fun. And I think yeah, that was really exciting to play.
For me, I love the tempo changes and all the rhythms because there's times where it switches from syncopation to all together, focus on one and three, and the tempo changes really bring it all together. There's a lot of different parts to it, but it all works together very well, in my opinion. So it feels like a great first movement. Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play.
All right, so can you describe team Yansu? Can you describe your rehearsal, kind of your rehearsal style, based on you described what John brings to the table. Now, what is it how does that affect you, and how is your rehearsal style?
Honestly, we our rehearsals are a lot of fun. We're all friends, and we usually rehearse for way longer than we plan on rehearsing. And it's also pretty fun. We tend to we do a lot of just hard like section work, like metronome work, just really focusing on who's playing what. We all have scores and we do a lot of part analysis with each other. We spend a lot of time talking about who should be with who should be paying attention to who should be cueing what parts, stuff like that. And it's also really fun because Josh is actually a composer and he's been working on 2 string quartets and we've also been working through those. So that's been really fun to work on our rep for competition and then also work on Josh's rep, which we've premiered once. We're premiering one of his other works actually the same month that we're competing in St. Paul. And that's been a lot of fun to do because we've been able to kind of work with Josh and not only as a second violinist, but also as a composer. So that's been a really great experience. And we just have a lot of fun with each other. It's been great. We hang out. It's super fun.
There's got to be food involved somewhere, right, guys? There's got to be some sort of food and eating.
I would say one thing is like we all really do come from very different backgrounds. Like I'm from a different city in Texas, which is huge, so very different dynamic. Josh from China and Ellie's up from Toronto area. And so we all have different dynamics. So we all bring a different like view into our music and we have a very good ability of like sharing those ideas frankly and easily and like understanding them and going through them like very well. Like I feel like that's a good part. Like we all bring our different ideas together pretty well.
So there's a high degree of trust amongst the 4 of you in the ensemble to be able to critique and accept criticism and give it back, so to speak. Does everybody? I mean, this is a question that just came to my mind. Does everybody contribute about the same amount of 100%, or do certain people talk more than others, and others sit back and wait and listen more? How does your group work?
I think our roles are all really evenly distributed. I'm kind of the person who will like email people and connect us. I'm kind of like the manager almost. I help schedule rehearsals, all of that. Josh is our resident composer and he books us rehearsal rooms, writes us pieces to play, prints our music. And Hudson contributes so much advice when it comes to technique in rehearsal. Hudson has helped me with my bow technique, which is so nice. He's given me so many practice tips. And then Ellie is our fearless leader and she sets the tone for all the pieces that we're going to play. Her first violin work is absolutely incredible. And honestly, we're all so inspired by what she does.
Are you all embarrassed now? I mean, the 3 of you should be embarrassed, right? we need someone. Someone talk about Casey now. Come on, one of you jump in and tell me about Casey. Come on.
Other than her amazing viola work, she is probably the most uplifting and positive people I know. Like, I mean, look at that smile, of course.
Okay, here's the last question. Fun backstory. You've probably given me some already, but is there a couple of fun backstories that you want to share about the quartet that we can share to the international population? Because there'll be people watching from all over the planet.
That time we drove to I think we gave concerts. I think at the opera, the community concert. Yeah, it was
my gosh.
Yeah, Josh, tell it, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of we had like one rehearsal for one of the Borodin pieces or something like that, and then because we have to drive. We have to drive to a retirement home to give a concert because that's part of our requirements. So we're like, okay, we gotta come up with some pieces because if it's just a serious piece, we don't want people just be, too serious. So we want some piece, that can chill. So we thought about, maybe the Borodin could work, and we had like one rehearsal, and we drove there, and somehow it just came together when we played. It's like, gosh, it's like it's just one sound. It became 4 voices became one sound at that concert. We played Borodin, we introduced with Siri also. Yeah, it was really, really good. And then we drive back. It was like, dude, can you believe that?
That's true confessions, John.
It was really good. And I had the opera something afterwards. But that time was amazing. How we bonded and everything. So, yeah, just one moment.
That story was so funny because we prepared like this rep for this nursing home and we were like, we can't play all of Beethoven's Serioso for a bunch of old people. Like so we played the less serious movements of Serioso and Borodin, and we're like driving to this rehearsal and Josh is like, I have an opera performance. And we're like, what? And Josh is opera principal. And so after the community concert at this retirement home, I'm like speeding down I-35 in a minivan. And we're all like, we're listening to like Dvorak's Symphony in G major. And I am breaking the speed limit to get Josh to his opera performance on time. He made it, but it was like within 5 minutes of the curtain going up. It was crazy.